Man, dude, you do so much stuff out here. I mean, you've taken an idea and since and I know your vision is so broad and so massive, and we're not there yet, but I can see you making meaningful strides and steps towards that vision, specifically with the food desert, combating the food desert here in Las Vegas. Can you explain to people what that means, the food desert here in Vegas, and what you're doing to combat that?
So unfortunately, Vegas imports about 98% of all of its produce. There was a study done by the fire marshal a couple of years ago that said that if I-5 got shut down in 95, that they'd have about 3 days worth of food left here in the city. This area that we're sitting in now is considered a food desert according to the USDA. That's because the people here who don't have cars or something like that, they have to travel more than a mile to get access to fresh produce. When I started to really kind of understand, my background is in IT, and I was working in Dallas, and I had a coworker who lived in South Dallas, and I drove her home one day. So for me, I lived in Dallas, Fort Worth area, very nice area, and everything changed when we crossed Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. It was like it was a whole different type of community, very similar to what we see here on the historic West Side. And so the research kind of led to understanding that food deserts aren't just about problems that have access to food, but it also makes it a resource desert. It also causes a lot of different health problems. It also causes a lot of different mental problems when people don't have access to healthy food, because those things like neurotransmitter, you only get from one place: good nutrition. And so if you have a whole community that doesn't have access to good nutrition, then that means they're not firing off the right neurotransmitters in their brains to even make the right decisions about their future. So what we've been fighting for is to really not just feed the community, but teach the community the skills on how to feed themselves. So by teaching them indoor agriculture, vertical farming, more innovative ways of growing food by, recycling all the water, recycling the nutrients, and using, a third of the space in order to grow food and not necessarily having to use soil, it now makes it more accessible for people in the community to, one, have access to healthier produce, but also have an opportunity to actually get into business of agriculture, get into the business of farming. And we try to take it a step further by introducing both agriculture and technology, because it's like, how do you start to introduce and how do you start to bring in the next generation of farmers?